Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shams Fatima from Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bangalore. So today my topic is based on my technical seminar, that is cyber threats classification and countermeasure in banking and financial sector. Let's move on to the content part. It consists of introduction, related background, working and implementation, future enhancement, conclusion and references. Now, let's move on to the introduction part. The banking sector and the financial sector is a critical infrastructure that plays a crucial role in the economy. The increasing dependency on the technology and digital transformation, the sector is facing more complex and sophisticated threats from the cybersecurity criminals. The banking sector serves as a backbone of country's economy, interlinked with various other sectors like petroleum, mining, health, and industry. Cyber threats in the banking sector can have significant impact, including financial loss, reputation, damage, and legal consequences. The banking and the financial sector require robust cybersecurity measures due to the myriad of cyber threats that have evolved over the years. Methods and techniques, including the intrusion detection and presentation prevention system, antivirus, firewall, network security monitoring, and the security information and event management. Now, let's move on to the related background. The increased use of the online banking, mobile banking, and other services has created a new avenues for the cyber criminals to exploit. It includes the threat intelligence, threat modeling, security awareness training, and the cybersecurity classification. Now, let's have a look what is threat intelligence. It is nothing but financial institute leverages threat intelligence to identify and categorize and prioritize cyber threats based on the potential impact. The threat modeling is nothing but to identify the potential vulnerabilities in the system. And security awareness is nothing but employees and the customers about the cybersecurity have best practices such as recognition of phishing attempts, safeguard login credential, and report suspicious activities. These are reducing the likelihood of successful cyber attacks. Now, cyber threat classification. The cyber threats into the categories such as malware, phishing, Trojan attack, DDoS attacks, ransomware, and others. Each category requires specific countermeasure mitigate the associate risk effectively. Moving on to the pros and cons of the cybersecurity threats. Classify cyber threats in the banking and financial sector allows for targeted countermeasures. Countermeasures such as encryption, multi-factor authentication, and regulatory security audits strengthen the defenses against the specific threats, safeguard sensitive financial data and transactions. The pros include security awareness, more effectively incident responses, and tailored defense and strategies. One limitation of that, cyber threats are constantly evolving and new threats. Another challenge is that cybersecurity threats are often interconnected and can occur simultaneously or in the quick succession. Moreover, cyber threat classification are often based on the range of the factors such as attack vector, the attacker's motivation, and the impact of the organization. Finally, there is a challenge of balancing security measure with the need of business operation. As a result, identifying and classifying the attacker's motivation can challenge organizers must remain vigilant and adaptable in their response. Let's move on to the working and implementation part. The framework development process involved a series of iteration steps, including the identification of the key component, defining classification, the criteria, exploring the threat intelligence sources, developing a taxonomy, determining the granularity and assigning threat security level or the risk scores. Now let's have a look what is identifying a key component. It is the initial step in the framework development process. Involves identification the key component, the form of the basis of the framework. The identified component may include the threat categories, attack vectors, vulnerabilities, type, impact factors, and mitigation strategies. Let's move on. What is defining classification criteria? To define a classification criteria, these criteria establish a set of attributes or characteristics that enable the characterization of cyber threats within the framework. The classification of the criteria are designed to be a specific, measurable, and aligned with the research objective. Moving on to the exploring threat intelligence sources, enhancing the framework effectively and exploring the intelligent source of the data feedback. Moving on to the developing taxonomy, it includes creating a logical and coherent arrangement of the threat categorization. Determining the granularity, the step involved establishing the level of the details at which the threats should be classified. It should be based on the specific needs, capabilities of the banking and financial sector, considering the resources, constraint, complexity of the threat landscape, requirement, and the decision-making process. Last but not the least, assigning threat security levels or risk scores. It is a set of criteria and the measurement scales to assess the potential impact, likelihood of the occurrence, and the overall risk associated with each identified threat categories. The process adheres to the principle of consistency, transparency, and the alignment with the industry standard or the establishment risk management framework. So the framework development involves the following steps: identifying the key components, defining classification criteria, exploring the threat and the intelligence sources, developing a taxonomy, determining the granularity, assigning threat security levels or the risk scores. Now let's move on to the cyber threat framework. Impact of cyber threats. Cyber threats can have significant impact on banking and financial sector due to its sensitive information and financial information posing risk to the stability, security, integrity of these institutions. The process of organizing the impact of the cyber threats involves the systematic evaluation of potential consequences across the multiple dimensions. Areas include the financial impact, operational impact, reputational impact, regulatory impact, and the legal impact. Financial losses and the reputational damage are also considered as a serious impact of the cyber threat or banking and financial services. Data breaches, operational disruption, compliances, and regulatory issues and increased costs are other negative effects of the operation and the reputation of the banking and the financial services. Now, let's have a look at this diagram, which tells about the cyber threats framework. Impact of the cyber threats, nature of the cyber threats, characteristics of the threats, criteria used for classifying the cyber threats, and the threat classification is done as technical threats and non-technical threats. Countermeasure is classified into three parts: technical control, legal and regulatory measures, organizational and countermeasures. The nature of the threats is it is essential to the nature of the cyber dangerous order to develop the efficient technique for their detection, prevention, and mitigation. These dimensions include the technical sophistication of attacks, the level of the exhibited by the threat actor, the range of the target, sectors affected, and the motivated driving cyber criminal activities. The characteristics of the threats. The character of the cyber threats refer to the attributes, motivation, and goal of the threat actors involved. The characters of the cyber threats plays a critical role in understanding their behavior, capabilities, and the potential impact. Criteria used to classify the cyber threats by analyzing the threat vectors, attack surface, attack type, threat severity, threat origin, threat impact, attack objective, frequency, complexity. Threat actor can gain a better understanding of the cyber threat landscape, tailor their responses accordingly. Technical factors such as nature of the attack, vulnerabilities exploited, and the level of sophistication exhibited. Non-tech factors such as motivates of threat actor, scope of the impact, loss, and reputational damage are considered. Moving on to the threat classification. The threat classification is the framework is organized into two main parts, technical and non-technical threats. Technical threats include the technological system such as network breaches, malware attacks, and DDoS, denial of service attacks. The non-tech, on other hand, includes the social engineering tactics, insider threats, and non-compliances, which focus on the human factor, policy violation, and legal aspects. Under threat classification, it is based on network-based threats, application-based threats, and infrastructure-based threats. Non-technical involves network-based threats, application threats, and infrastructure-based threats. Technical, as I had discussed earlier, it is use of the technology, tools, techniques to exploit the vulnerabilities in the system, network, and application. The technical are classified into distinct dimensions based on the characteristics and area. So it is divided into APT, that is application based threats, and DDoS is denial of service, that is a supply chain attack, web application attack, mobile banking threats, and cloud security threats are other technical threats can impact the banking and the financial services. Moving on to the non technical threats. Non-tech threats are those involved manipulating the human behavior or exploiting the human vulnerabilities to gain the unauthorized access of sensitive information of the system. It poses a significant challenge and often be more difficult to mitigate due to their reliance on human factors, organizational policies, and legal complexities. Employee negligence and lack of the awareness, human error, legal regulatory risk, shadow IT, media threats are less severe but still pose a potential risk to banking and the financial services. Moving on to the future enhancement, future enhancements will likely focus on advanced machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence to swiftly identify and categorize emerging threats. Real-time monitoring, network traffic, anomaly detection will become more sophisticated, enabling preemptive action against the potential attacks. Additionally, the integration of the blockchain technology for secure transaction and robot encryption protocols will be pivotal in fortifying cybersecurity defenses. Continuous employee training and awareness of the program will also play a crucial role in mitigating the risk of associated with the social engineering attacks. Embarrassing, robust encryption protocols and multi-factor authentication methods will further fortify the cybersecurity defenses, ensuring the integrity of confidentiality of the sensitive data. Now, let's move on to the conclusion part. The banking and the financial sector faces the increasingly complex landscape of the cyber threats. Institutions adopt a robust multi-layered approach to the cybersecurity combining a technical control, legal and regulatory measures, and organizing the countermeasure. Approach is the key protecting sensitive data, preserving customer trust, and mitigating the financial losses triggered by the cyber attacks. The countermeasures identified offer organizations the means to augment their security posture, detect and respond to the threat proactively, and minimize the damage ensuing from cyber attacks. This classification framework stands as a vital tool for practitioners, policymakers, and researchers to identify, prioritize, and mitigate the cyber threats within their essential sector. It can also help the financial institutes to develop a proactive approach towards cybersecurity and strengthen their resilience against the cyber attacks. Here are few references which I have taken from the papers, which usually belong to the year of 2023, 2022, and 2021. I hope you got some information from my video about the cyber threats and the countermeasure which are being taken to safeguard your financial sectors and also the banking institutes. I hope you liked my video. Please do like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching my video. See you guys in the next video. Bye guys.